In this video we're going to make a basic ball that will hit off the sides of the screen but won't interact with the paddle just yet. We'll do collisions in a later video. So this is the idea. At the end of this video you should have something that looks like this, a paddle that moves around based on the mouse movements, and a ball that just kind of bounces around the screen. So let's get right to it. In the entity package you want to create a new class called ball. And ball will also implement entity, so implements game entity, sorry. The ball object will have a number of fields, and the compiler is upset because we haven't actually implemented the two methods that we're required to implement. So I guess we can do that right now. Public ball, just an empty constructor, kind of placeholder, public void update, and public void draw graphics 2D G2. And now the compiler should be satisfied that we have, in fact, once we import this, met the conditions of the interface. And so now we can begin working on the class. So we're going to give some fields here. Now a ball object needs to know a couple things about itself. It needs to know private double. We're going to use doubles again so that we can get a little bit, precise motion. It needs to know its x, its y, its velocity in the x direction, and its velocity in the y direction. It needs to also know its color, private color, and we can say like my color or C, whatever you prefer is fine. It also will have a static constant, public static final int, to remember how big it is. And this, there might be reasons later on when we do modifiers that you might want this not to be a static constant, but we'll just say it is for right now. We need to import the color object from the Java library. So import color, and you can just type these things too if you start to remember which libraries they're parts of. In the ball constructor, we need to initialize all the fields. Good practice. And so we'll just give some initial values. X equals game window dot width. We'll just put it in the middle for the time being. Y equals game window dot height divided by 2. Just started careening around in the middle. dx, these are just sort of placeholder values that you can change and tweak. dx equals 2, dy equals 3. Let's set the my color. We'll just use dark gray. You can do whatever you want. Color dot dark gray. And again, we'll talk later on about how to use images rather than basic shapes. All right, in the draw method, we just want to do the same thing. We want to take whatever graphics tool is passed over G2, and we want to set the color, so tell the little robot to dip its paintbrush in our color, so my color, and then we just want to G2 dot fill oval, G2 dot fill oval at X, Y, and size, and because these are doubles, we need to cast them to the int. So again, casting just says I only want the integer portion of the data, or format the number here and just into an integer container, because the method fill oval requests integers, so it refuses to accept doubles because it doesn't need to, because no pixel is at a decimal point, so each pixel on the screen has an integer value associated with it, so that's why the method only accepts integers. Alright, in the update method, we want to increment x by the dx every time through, so x plus equals dx, so that means add the velocity to the position in the horizontal direction, and y plus equals dy. Then we also want to do some bounds checks so that it bounces off the walls when it hits the walls. So we say if x is less than 0, we want to it has hit a wall, so we want to flip the velocity in the other direction, so dx equals negative dx. If y is less than 0, we want to do the same, so dy equals negative dy. And then we want to check the right side, so if x is greater than game window dot width minus the size of the ball, then dx equals negative dx, and if y is greater than game window dot height minus the size of the ball. And actually, this is not going to be quite right. You can do minus 23 in addition to this if you really want it to hit off the bottom. And then we want to flip the value of dy to negative dy. Now this is just for testing, because we don't actually want it to be able to bounce off the bottom of the window once we start playing the game. If it hits the bottom of the window, it means that the person is lost, but for the time being, when we're just testing the game, we'll have it actually successfully bounce off the bottom so that we can kind of see what's happening more and we don't have to pay attention to the paddle so much. Alright, once we have this object completed, and this is sort of the basic ball that's been completed, we want to add it to the game panel so that we can see it. So we'll say private ball, the ball, and we need to initialize the ball, so the ball equals new ball object, open and close parentheses. Then it wants us to import the ball from, because it's in a different package, a different folder. We can just click on it, come on, import it, great. And then we need to scroll down and update the ball based on time, so the ball.update and the ball.draw. The ball.draw graphics 2D G2. Alright, and so now, if we run our game, you should see, if I did everything correctly, a paddle that we can still control and a ball that bounces around, and the two won't interact quite yet, but it's close. Alright, see? Yep, there it is. And you can change the x and the y velocity if you want to make the ball kind of go a little bit faster. So we can change this to like 5, this to like 8, and the ball will kind of whip around the screen now. Yeah, not super fast. That's reasonable. And it doesn't crash into the paddle yet, but it does bounce off the wall. So that's plenty for this video.